Now, this is the Fox 11 5 o'clock news.
And we'll have more on the new developments in the Jussie Smollett case. Why were charges dropped? Our legal expert thinks he knows. Talk to him right after the break. All right, back to our top story. It's news no one expected. All charges dropped against Jussie Smollett.
The Empire actor had been accused of staging a hate crime. Today's decision sparked a firestorm of criticism. We want to know what you think. Do you agree with the decision to drop all charges against the actor? Go to foxla.com/vote. We're going to have real-time results throughout this next segment. Right now, 71% of you do not agree, do not think the charges should have been dropped.
We bring in attorney Lou Shapiro. Lou, thanks for joining us. You have a theory because so many are asking, why? How did this happen?
Yeah, I'm here to provide all the answers for everybody.
Go.
I got them for you. So basically, we have to look at a few pieces of evidence that have come through over the past few weeks now. One being that the Cook County head prosecutor, Fox, she recused herself from the case. And that didn't get a lot of traction, but it seems to be coming together now. And here's why. Basically, the decision as to why the charges were dismissed were sealed. And that was requested by the prosecution.
So we may never know more?
So we're not going to know more. Exactly. And it doesn't seem to be based on insufficiency of the evidence because the evidence seems to be there. I mean, to say that he paid $3,500, right, and then to the trainers, and then they go and beat him up, why would they go and do that? There must be something in the prosecutor's office that I think they don't want to come out that the defense could use in trial against them, which would really hurt their case. In other words, their head prosecutor was saying he's innocent. This was before he was indicted, but that he's innocent, he did nothing wrong. He was in touch with Michelle Obama's former chief of staff about it. So those communications could be very damaging at trial.
So, but yet, it's interesting that the prosecutor said today, the male prosecutor who's now making this decision, saying, yeah, we think it's a hoax. We don't think Jussie's telling the truth. And yet this decision still goes forward. One thing that's really strange is, why did they go to a grand jury? A grand jury that signed off on 16 felony counts if all these problems were in existence before? Why take that step?
So the reason why a prosecutor will go to a grand jury is because there's no defense lawyer in the room to mess things up. It's just the prosecutor and the jurors, and the prosecutor presents the evidence, and as the old saying goes, you can even indict a ham sandwich. So that's why they went that direction.
All right, so what happens next? You saw in our poll, a lot of the public is asking, why or not happy about this move. What do you say happens next?
Well, I think what happens next is one of two things. Either number one, nothing, right? Or number two, the feds, they're saying, could come and try to prosecute him for mail fraud. Remember, if he in fact sent himself a letter or sent Fox a letter that was not true, that could be fraudulent. The mail service was used for that. That's mail fraud. But I don't think that's happening, because if that were to happen, I think that would have already been announced today when the state announced that they themselves are dismissing the charges against him.
And so they could potentially look at like saliva on the letter to see if it matches Jussie Smollett or something like that?
That's about it, yeah.
So then, legally, does Jussie Smollett, in terms of Empire, does he have a case if they don't put him back on the show? Because technically, no, in terms of the law, he's clear, right?
Right, so the show could come back and say, well, you weren't exonerated. Even the statement by the prosecution was, this is not an exoneration. You're just not being convicted of it. And that's why they had him forfeit his $10,000 bond and say he was going to do community service, I think, to hang their hat on and for a prospective employer to say, well, you did have to do something. You were not exonerated in this.
It's quite a day to see the police department and the mayor at odds like this with the prosecutor's office. Now, we've seen it before, but boy, was the mayor strong in his comments.
You never see them going against one another. And that further supports the theory that this case was not dismissed due to something in the evidence. It was due to something in the prosecutor's own office that they did not want to come out, and they decided to go this direction.
Well, it appears that you're winning your argument because you've got more people on your side in the course of this segment.
Then I'm going to put that on my website.
But I want to ask you this. Smollett's attorney said that the police department tried this in the press. What do you think about that?
Well, that's true. I mean, for an investigating officer to go out in the press before anyone is convicted, before a trial, and to say, this person is guilty, this person abused the hate crime laws, That's not conventional for law enforcement to do. They're there to investigate.
This was the right move, is what they're saying.
Maybe we all can learn from this story that jumping to conclusions is not the best strategy.
As a criminal defense lawyer, I could not agree with you more.
I think a lot of people did that on both sides of this one. All right, thank you so much for joining us. Great to have you. First time on the 5, right?
Yes, first time on the 5.
Good to have you here.
Shapiro, thanks much.
Sure
Looking
we'll
at
see
the
you
poll
back.
numbers now, do you think that charges should have been dropped? A strong answer, no. It stayed consistent that way throughout this newscast. Thanks
Yes.
everybody for joining us on the poll.